morning, everyone. Youngstown's Talk Channel, Joe and Kelin here. I honestly think our off-air banter is better than our on-air banter. Like, I really
don't you feel like we need our own reality show?
We do. The camera's 24/7. I think it would be the most interesting.
Yeah.
I wish, and you'd have an appreciation for us if you saw when we were not sitting in front of this camera.
If we had like a full-blown reality show where we didn't even realize, like, the cameras are on all the time, like you see on TV, where you sort of just forget about them and live out your daily life. Oh my God, we'd win an Emmy.
Heck yeah, that'd be the most interesting TV ever. And it would inspire people. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, inspire people to be better people.
What do you mean?
We would inspire people to be better people.
Why?
Because we're a good example.
Oh, we'd be mentoring people to be better.
Most of the time. Yeah.
All right, we've got a really good show today. Later on in the show, we're going to have a caller who is involved in the Unaffordable Care Act, processing and understanding it on a level, so it fits for today.
Okay.
And what we're talking about as far as like, we talk about government benefits, people that are addicted and dependent on the government, and how great of a freaking job they did. So I challenge anyone who's a big fan of the government to lay out your case for something the government does well. And then I'll listen and I'll say, okay, let's build upon that. Let's take something that it really knows how to do, figure out why it does it well, and then make all of its other programs follow these same models so that they work well too. Because I think, I posted a picture of premiums on the Affordable Care Act, and, without the subsidies, there's going to be on the marketplace a lot of these premiums will double, and there are people paying almost $4,000 a month for their health insurance.
Who can do that?
Better question is, how did it get to be so pricey? Like, what fed into it? Like, whenever you go into the market, you go into an amusement park and you buy a lemonade, and it's like $15. How did it get to be $15 freaking dollars? And then, like, this lemonade anywhere else would be $2. Yeah. Because the guy 2 blocks down, right? Yeah. Would be lesser. And then he'd be like, oh, he's selling all the lemonade and I'm not. And I got to be $2 too. So I sell any lemonade.
I could grow my own lemons.
Right. So how do these AstroTurf inauthentic pricing models exist, and what contributes to them to becoming so inflated? So we'll talk about that later in the show. You get first strike. I know that was kind of a first strike, but this is a second first strike. What do you got?
I totally completely off subject and probably a 5-second discussion, but I saw the coolest guy online yesterday, and I watched one video, so I got fed more of his content. Have you ever heard of Oz Perlman?
No.
He, I guess, is a well-known mentalist, and it is the coolest thing to watch. Like, if you're into that sort of like, magic tricks, it's like way even more advanced. He started off as a magician, but he's now a mentalist, and he'll tell you, obviously there is nothing supernatural about what he does. He's like, I cannot read people's minds. That's impossible. Nobody can do that. But he says, I know people so well that he can tell you the most outrageous things. There's no way he would know that. There's no way. And it's the tiniest details about you stand out to him, and he can figure things out. He can figure out what name you're thinking of, what number you're thinking of. He had somebody hold an imaginary deck of cards, wasn't even there in real life, and think of a card, and he was able to figure it out.
I hate him, by the way. I hate him.
All I kept thinking is like, I want Oz Perlman and Joe Danyi in a room together and see if he could still do it with you, and if you could figure it out.
Do you know why I hate him?
Why? Jealousy?
No, not jealousy. All right, so let's just say you had 10 magicians, and they all made a good living doing magician. But one of those dudes decided that he doesn't want to do magic anymore, but he wants to out all the other magicians and tell everybody the secrets of how magic works. It not only ruins the...
Well, he doesn't tell any secrets.
Listen, stop. Don't get ahead of me. He is So that magician who told the public is going to be like, oh, okay, well, like I'm going to get this attention that these guys aren't, and I'm going to tell you the secrets of what it is. It ruins it for the people who enjoy the magic and like the unknowns, right?
Yeah.
Filling in the blanks for themselves. At the same time, he then degrades what the other people are doing so that it's not as effective because everybody knows what the trick is, right? Human beings, you are not unique, right? We all have the same biology, minds. We have all the same hangups. It's it's not a surprise that if you do something to a person, you can affect the outcome by knowing exactly what they'll do with it, with the information, with the money, with whatever. You know what the human condition is. And as soon as you realize how the brain operates and how the body operates and what people are, you can make fairly accurate predictions as to what people will do in certain circumstances.
Yet nobody can do it that well.
Right. And
it is a talent.
Those of us who recognize that and been utilizing it to crush people do not appreciate people who are like, oh, here's the magic secret sauce. No, it's not fair to the rest of us who were smart enough to figure out. And then you're going to give the dummies the answer key.
All right. I'm going to send you some of his videos. And
okay.
Why don't you tell me how he did it?
Okay. Fairly simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't think like other people could have figured this out too? Are you the only one that knows?
No, it's the people that would invest the time into figuring it out. So let's just say,
I mean, he's done this for years. It was years of practice.
Let's just say something you don't know about your body, right? So this was in a movie actually about the FBI. So I'm going to use it as an example. So when someone tells a lie, they usually will look to the left, right? Because they're accessing the right portion of their brain, and the right portion of their brain is in charge of imaginative. So they're concocting something rather than accessing data.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as you know this data point and you look at a person and you say something that puts them in a spot, a moment of contention, and you watch their eyes to see if it goes to the left or right.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes to the left, it's fabricated. If it goes to the right. Now, as soon as you didn't know that before, or maybe you did, but let's pretend you didn't know that before this moment, and you're looking at someone, that's one data point where I can see if what I asked you, I can put you on the spot. I can force you into a moment where you have to make a decision and watch your eyes to see which direction they go in and know what you told me is a fabrication or not. I can't predicate anything on that because it's just one little data point. Yeah. But if I assemble it with 10 other data points about human interactions and gestures and facial expressions and how you express yourself, right?
Yeah.
I can assemble a whole lot of things that you will tell on yourself, because I'm not talking to your conscious brain. I am talking to your subconscious brain. So I might have to ask you 9 questions before I guess your card, but your body and how you respond to it will tell me everything I need to know to make a high probability guess about something. That's how he's doing.
Yes. He will directly state these things. He's not, again,
he's giving the shit away.
He has said, I don't read minds. Everybody has cues. You can learn how to learn it. He teaches people like in business how to close deals.
10 people who invest the time to actually do it, right?
Yes.
And then
here's the thing: the level of talent at which he does this,
not impressive,
is
not impressive.
Not impressive. Absolutely impressive.
No, it gives it away. So now that you know that, you look to the left. If you're about to tell a lie, you start looking.
You know what else he says?
Freaking ruin it.
He
and
still
you would have never known. No.
Listen, you just said. Some people may know that, some people may not. So then he even has to guess, okay, the whole look to the left, look to the right. If you're doing this, person I'm dealing with, I think probably knows that. They're probably going to then fake me out and not
this
look
is a
this
Princess
way.
Bride
so that's
dichotomy.
Another.
It's like, you would never put the poison in your drink.
I clearly can't drink the cup in front of you.
but I have built up a tolerance, iocane powder over the years. So your strategy did not work. That's the guy that impresses me.
I'm going to put this dude and you in a room together.
I'll do it. And I will call him a fraud, and he should shut up.
And you know what
stop telling people about what we use, because all they're going to do is fake out now something that used to work. And
you know what else he even has to do is have a backup plan if the first round goes badly and he's wrong.
So your
he
first
can
question,
turn it around and still look right.
Do you know XYZ? Could have then put me in a category of someone who knows the thing that he put out into the the public's collective.
Here's one thing he talks about. A way people can practice. tell somebody, tell me a lie. Tell me something. I know it's a lie. I know you're lying. I know it's not true. Tell me. And then says, now tell me something that is true. And he can pick out the tiniest differences between when you're lying and when you're not. How many people you think in the population can do that?
Observers, people who shut up long enough to look at it.
Observers.
Yes.
Not everybody is an observer. Not everybody can do this.
Once
It is impressive.
Once you know that, you're okay. So let's just say there's a sales strategy that if I can get the pen in your hand, you're more likely to sign a document. All right. Now you're aware of that if a salesperson tries to get the pen in your hand and they're like, hey, I got this really cool pen. You want to see it? Right. In your brain, you're like something that would have been just a nothing statement. You're like, I know what he's doing. And I hand you the pen. And you're like, that dude's trying to get me to sign this paperwork. This is a psychological battle. And now you are now no longer oblivious to the holding the pen strategy. Now you know it. Now I got to use something else. You ruined it for every salesperson that is using that strategy.
Why don't you tell me something you would find impressive?
What?
Would you find anything impressive? No,
it's really not.
You don't find anything about anyone impressive.
There's wanderers, that people bounce off stuff, and the people who know stuff that use data to their advantage. That's it. There's two.
Here's something that our hidden cameras on our reality show will catch. We're going to do this, Joe. Okay. I want you to tell me when I'm lying and when I'm not, and what name I'm thinking of, and all that in a matter of minutes. And if you can't, you've got to admit what he does is impressive.
But that ruins it, because that's a parlor trick. That's on command. If you can do this in the real world, where some's not expecting
it in the real world,
but that's not impressive. A person who says, I've been doing that for 20 years and nobody knows I was doing it and I prospered because of it, that's impressive to me, because it's someone who didn't put their nutsack on the actual table and show how smart I am. We've all been doing this. You're making a spectacle of yourself doing a small version of it as a parlor trick. That's embarrassing.
What's the difference between this guy, who he goes to corporate events too? He teaches different things about reading people, because salespeople can benefit from that. Lots of business people trying to close deals can benefit from that. And he teaches them how to be likable, how to close a deal, how to sell, how to help somebody. He says it's all about helping other people. You've got to read them. Bullshit. You've got to know what they want.
Bullshit.
All right, then this is going to go nowhere.
Okay, so you have a stockbroker who says, I can take $1,000 and make it into $100,000, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. The first question in your brain is, why are you talking to people? Why aren't you taking your $1,000 and making $100,000 and just silently being in the corner, becoming prosperous? Right? What? That's my first question.
He won't give everything away, and he will say it's bad for business for me to give everything away.
The person who is an awesome stock picker from just going and doing it. Why does he feel the need to teach other people?
My point that I was making is, what's the difference between him and everybody else that goes and consults businesses and salespeople?
Charlatan. That's what it is. So, okay.
Well, they're both making money to advise others.
All right. So if that dude who can pick $1,000 made more money than he's ever needed, he's totally retired and has so much time that he doesn't know what to do with himself. And he starts out by saying, because I'm so prosperous and I've made everything that I ever need, let me help you, just as something, I need some purpose, right? That would impress me, because now it makes actual sense. The charlatans are the ones who aren't doing the thing, almost like teachers, right? Teachers, you know the saying about teachers?
No.
Those who can do, those who can't teach.
Yeah.
Right? There's some wisdom in that. If you don't really believe much in, I can make $1,000, make $100,000 into $100,000, you teach other people to do it, and they're like, hey, have you made $100,000? Then it's just theory, unpracticed theory, and you've got a good idea. But why don't you go do it first before you try to teach other people to take your zealotry and put it in the marketplace? Charlatan. That's what it screams.
I have a question for you.
Charlatan. Yes.
It could be kind of personal.
Okay.
Maybe I should ask you later. Or do you want me to?
No, go for it.
Okay. You work with addicts, don't you? And you teach them how to get over addictions.
Yes.
Have you ever had an addiction?
Probably some, not the same level. No real affliction.
Then why are you teaching somebody at that level to get over it?
So the deal is that if I have conquered addiction where so for instance, when I feel like coffee has dominance over me, I stopped doing coffee for 30 days to prove to my brain that I'm not addicted to coffee. There's no downside to coffee. I've not lost my livelihood. I've not ruined relationships. There's no consequence to the addiction. So if I were to tell you you have major consequence for your addiction, I'm giving you a theory that you can say, well, how have you conquered addiction? I'm saying, I went 30 days without coffee. I love coffee. There's no downside. I didn't have the bottom of the barrel. Theoretical, but yet proven in a way where I didn't have to pay consequences for addiction. But here is some mathematics that if you wanted to apply it to your addiction that actually does have consequences, there's some value in that.
And are these principles and ideas that anybody can realize, or only you know this?
It's common sense. There's nothing that I teach that somebody couldn't come to a conclusion.
So why are you bashing Oz Perlman for doing the same thing, teaching something that you say not impressive? Anybody can do that.
All it does is it takes a formulation, right, and it makes it a spectacle rather than there's a real exercise.
Well, that's his business. That's what he does.
A spectacle.
Yes,
that's it. That's a charlatan.
He says, "I am an entertainment."
Yes.
Like a magician, like a performer of any
do
kind.
it without revealing the code. Okay.
He doesn't reveal the code.
He's revealing the code. He
says, I can't reveal too much or else I would be out of business.
Exactly. But he is taking the formulations for other people, revealing their formulation, which is ruining it for the audience that they would have.
How do you know this is what he does? You just said you've never heard of him and you've never seen him. How do you know what he does?
Because I know the type. I know the magician revealed people, and all they're doing is taking tricks and telling people how they're done. So there's people
specifically does not tell you how he did it. He does generalities, small details, small nuances.
But there are mentalists out there that will just do the mentalist, exhibition without revealing how it's done. Like not engaging you that ruins someone else's livelihood. Charlatans, they're jerks, they're awful. The magic reveal people and the mentalist reveal people are dumb. I hate them.
They're dumb.
They're dumb.
They're so dumb they make a ton of money doing something that nobody else can do.
They're exploiters. As long as they did it without ruining someone else's livelihood, I'm cool with it.
If you go on a cruise ship, you go for the nightly entertainment, and it's a magician, and he's there to entertain and make money. Is he an exploiter?
No, if he says, "Oh, I hit the ball trick, right? I got two balls in my hands. Watch what happens. This ball's inside of that ball, and I explode."
Oh, it didn't actually disappear. There's a logical explanation.
Dude at a carnival right now that's about to do the ball trick, and it's like, dude, 50 people now know what the ball trick is about. I'm doomed. My livelihood.
Guess you better step up your game. You fix computers. That's how you make a living. If 50 people learned how to fix computers,
they do.
Are you now? Okay.
They do.
So this guy, you're saying the same thing. It's a business. It's entertainment. It's what he does because he's good at it. It's the same as anyone else making a living doing something they are good at.
By ruining somebody else. That's my problem.
Who is he ruining?
He's ruining the other people that practice the industry, right? So there's no value in telling the audience how the trick is done. There's not, right? But it ruins it, but he does.
You just said you've never seen him. How do you know?
You just told me what he does. He tells you what human tendencies are.
Specific words out of his mouth are, I will not tell you how I did it. That's bad for my business. Mm-hmm. All he says is, I'm not an actual mind reader. There is just a skill set of knowing people. I know people really well.
And now that people are
you think people believe in actual mind readers? And if you tell them there's no real mind readers,
I want to know the magic is true. It's fun that way. Listen, don't tell me that the steak isn't real. I want to know that the steak is real. And when you come along and try to ruin it for me, screw you.
That's not a call, is it? Is that just auto something?
Maybe it is.
Maybe it is. We're too busy arguing to see our call.
Caller, are you there?
Yes.
Ooh, loud. Good morning.
Yeah, I'm here.
What's up?
You there?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was actually on the phone with the bank. I clicked off the phone and they were calling. I want to make sure I didn't get distracted. You guys can hear me though?
Yeah.
Yep, we hear you.
You guys are down there by the Star Supply, aren't you?
What?
Say that again.
Youngstown Studio.
Yeah.
I don't know if Youngstown, it's down by Star Supply when you cut that corner right?
We buy Star Supply?
No, we're more downtown, down by the YMCA.
Okay, cool. Listen, whatever you guys learned on how you did this Tito stuff with AI, I am infatuated by it. I think
MLO Bros.
Yeah, that's Luke and
the
Isaac.
brightest thing somebody in the city's ever done to try to fight his phony fraud stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I heard you guys in the background like, oh, it's a robocall. Like, no, life's a bitch right now for a lot of us, right? And it's expensive and rent's crazy. And I'm a family, right? I'm struggling. So I just kind of wanted to give my compliments on, I wouldn't even say it's a political tactic. It's more a hobby at this point for people to try to bring light to Tito and Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever you guys, maybe it's you or them, I have a whole Facebook I dedicate to just bashing him. And, do you like Tito Brown, sue the city of you? I'm all over here.
All right, you're breaking a little bit, but in the chat, go ahead and share the Bash Tito website. And I love satire. I was a big SNL fan. I love late night comedy because the ability to be able to take shots at everybody. And then it kind of became uber political where you would use, those platforms to go after one side and not the other. And I fell out of favor with that. Like, I love lampooning as long as it's across the board lampooning.
Yeah, there are some things, and we sort of had a bad connection there. There are some things that even if I really like someone and I don't want someone to talk badly about them, if it's funny, it's funny.
Yeah.
And everybody opens themselves up, especially if you're going to be in the public eye, for ridicule, for being made fun of, for jokes. And I think if it's equal across the board, then it's humor. If it's not equal and it's only one side, well, now you just hate that side.
That's what it did.
Yeah.
And people, human beings get fixated on things that are important to them and they're mad about or they love. And instead of saying, okay, our show, we'll use South Park as an example. I love South Park because they made fun of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so when things happened in pop culture, you knew it was going to make a scene on South Park as something that was notable enough to find humor in. And this season of South Park has been nothing but go after Trump. So you can picture in a boardroom, Matt Stone, Trey Parker, really mad at what's happening with Trump. So they can't even look at the other personalities that you can offend and you can make fun of and pepper them in. So if you're going to make fun of Trump and you're going to make fun of conservatives, that there's some liberals in there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at it and say, this is just a Republican bash, this becomes not funny because then it becomes political versus where it's across the board. If you're a public figure, you are fodder for being made fun of. That is its most pure form, and I respect it.
Do you think, I'm just being devil's advocate?
Yeah.
I don't really know. Do you think that they just find that to be more topical? That, I don't know, he's an easier target to make fun of? Or do you think it's their personal bias in it?
If it appeared in one episode, that would be a different story. If every episode is super fixated on showing your disdain for one political party, that now it's on
bias.
Purpose. It's on purpose, yeah.
And you think SNL is one of those that is sort of...
every once in a while, they'll deviate and they'll make fun of somebody, but not to the same extreme. Right. And so it's definitely kick gloves. It's definitely bias. It's definitely unfunny because you're like, okay, you're, like almost like if fraud happens, but it's always in a single direction. The fraud never happens in the other direction.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you're like, wait a minute. I'm willing to tolerate fraud, but I see fraud happen sometimes in this direction and sometimes in this. Why is it always in that direction? Now it's just strategy and I'm not going to be complicit.
Now you're sort of like beating a dead horse to try to get material for one thing. Jerry says, Kelin, Flis, Joe is date and a realist. He does not believe in supernatural things or mentalists? How does he explain how Rain Man knew exactly how many matches fell to the ground?
I think about that actually a lot. I think that about that a lot.
In the movie?
Yeah. And so like when you're neurodivergent, your brain processes information that it receives differently than everybody else. Things that you would walk into a room and not even notice, neurodivergent would completely fixate on those things, right? And take it upon themselves to be able to figure out complex, sort of like equations. And when you practice it so often, your brain does it automatically. So for instance, like there's a little kid from Japan, right? And there would be a monitor that would flash a 4-digit number, and it would do it for 30 seconds, different numbers. And then at the very end, he would have like 5 seconds to be able to say what the sum of all of those numbers were, right? So you and I don't go around practice collecting data, but a neurodivergent brain absolutely automatically takes 4 numbers and automatically adds it up. So putting 4 numbers in front of them in close succession to other numbers, your brain's doing it automatically. So like, it's like, okay, you just saw something and I didn't even tell you were looking at it, but you were like, hey, what was the addition of those, 70 frames of 4-digit numbers? It's like 5,336. And to you and I are like, how did they do it? They developed a skill with their subconscious mind, delivered that information to them without them even trying.
So is that kid like a showboater and a charlatan and a giving things away? And
no, it was the exercise of the thing. So they did it to him. He wasn't like, here's how I did it. I made my brain relax, and my brain added those things up, and then I came up with the number. Like, he didn't ruin the trick for everybody in the audience. He just did the thing.
There's no trick to be ruined. You just said we know why he's able to do that. It's the way his brain works.
We're talking about examples where it actually ruins other people because you shared the trick. So let's just say you had a computer company, right? And you made 90% of your revenue off of one thing. And nobody knew, like, the reason people came to you for that one computer thing is because you knew how to do it and nobody else did. You put time into it, you developed it, you put a process in place to do it, and now you wrapped an entire service around it. What happens if somebody goes out into the public and says, you don't have to pay them, here's all you have to do? And then some of your would-be customers then are using the crash course notes, right, to be able to not have to use you. There was a purpose in it. You have an expert of. So someone who knows the law, someone who sings a song. One example was we used to do a show in Las Vegas, right? And I would put coupons out to pet stores to be able to attract people in line, or attract people from the pet stores to come to the reptile expo that was coming to town.
Ew.
All right. And then so somebody grabbed a whole stack of them and went down the line and handed the coupon out to everybody that was in line. The purpose of it was that I would attract you there. It was a marketing piece. And that person subverted what the purpose of it and just gave a $2 coupon to everybody that was in line to be able to get in the show.
Right.
It flies in the face of the spirit of the thing.
That's different and nefarious because those people are already there. They would be paying, they would be utilizing you, and now they're getting it for free. But it doesn't necessarily always happen that way. There are countless people that go and give lunch and learns, seminars, podcasts, TV show information about what they do, what they know, how they do it, and they're giving information away constantly.
Right.
And it still makes people want to come and utilize their business. Because I think the average thinker would go, you really know what you're talking about. Oh, this seems complicated, but you're explaining it well, and I could sit here and actually listen and maybe record you and figure out how to do it on my own, but I'm not going to. I'm going to pay you to do it anyways.
Well, and that's fine. Informative where you're being a teacher is a different thing. When you're ruining the formula for somebody so somebody else's livelihood is decimated because of what you said.
What's the difference if they're like, I'm being a teacher and I'm showing you how to do this?
Because there's investment. There's someone who gets an understanding on something. So like if I told you that you could avoid the doctor by doing XYZ and you put in the time to do XYZ versus giving you a shortcut right? To avoid doing business with someone. That's the difference.
So if you go on the radio and you talk about computers and you give information away,
Yes.
are you ruining it for people who fix computers?
I do it in a way that doesn't do that. There's a principle there that I will not ruin somebody else just to make myself a spectacle.
And you think Oz Perlman is ruining it for other...
That's not a me question. Did he ruin it for other people? Period.
And I would say probably not.
Okay. Then
I'm going to send you his stuff.
Okay.
And you're going to be like, this dude is amazing. And I want to be just
he
like him.
probably is. And the guys who put in masks and show how to do the ball trick are equally as amazing. And I appreciate that they want to tell me the trick. But then I picture John Smith, who now livelihood is ruined because everybody knows how the trick is done. It's scummy. It's scammy and scummy.
I don't know if it is. Anywho, we were going in another direction before.
You said it was only going to be a 7-minute conversation.
I know.
And it was
I didn't know you'd be so passionate about it.
People that ruin other people's things for the sake of doing it, fine. But and really, that's not all that's going to be ruined. But I will tell you that there will be things that get ruined in the same vein that you will take exception with. And you will say, I understand your principle now, Joe. I had an AI write a song for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, I want this song to be about whatever. I want it to sound like this and whatever. And it wrote the absolutely best song without a single instrument or a talent or whatever being paid. I got what I needed out of it. Right. This is cool. The formulation for a song can be easily done by then leaning on and stealing, right, the works of other people. And I got my song without having to pay anybody to do it. There's going to be a day where you're like, wait a minute, you ruined the formula. The formula is when you want a song written, I want a jingle for a commercial. I go to an artist that plays, writes out some music and writes out some lyrics and performs something and sells it to me, and I give them money. Now I can do an end around. I can cut you completely out. It cost me $0, and I had a 1-minute jingle created completely from AI. You don't think that ruins the expression of that artist?
Yeah.
By giving the formulation to something else?
So why were you pro the AI actress? When I said, now they're making actors out of AI and it's going to ruin Hollywood and ruin people's careers that are trying to be actors. And you said, absolutely, we should utilize this.
Well, I take exception to people like the Yellow Pages, right? The Yellow Pages were exploitative. Something was higher than it needed to be in cost, right? How much did I pay a month for my Yellow Page ad? $1,000 a month. When you look at value and say, why can they charge me $1,000 a month for this Yellow Page ad? Why? Because you didn't have a choice. When people would go to the Yellow Pages to find one, you needed to be found. And so they only charged me $1,000 because there was only one Yellow Pages. And if you weren't in it, you were deprived, right? So that if you were to look at it from an alien's perspective and say, what is this thing really worth, right? It's a book, and there's costs involved, and there's black ink, right? And people use this thing. What should that be valued? Should it be would you pay $100 a month to be in the Yellow Pages? There were lawyers that paid $10,000 a month for their Yellow Page ad. Do you think that was too pricey? So there's a point where an industry exploits value because they remove and reduce competition. So we're talking about the one side of it is they're not exploiting. Magicians are not exploiting it. Everybody knows what they're in for. As long as nobody ruins it, everybody's going to make a living. And then you have the exploitative ones where you have an actress and you're like, okay, you have a person, and the only reason that they're paid as much as that they are is because they're going to get butts put in the seat because of how they act, what they look like, how they speak, and how they can perform. Right?
Yeah.
If I had competition with that and I had something that was almost identical to that, and it's only going to charge me $1,000, now that person has to reduce their cost because they can't exploit me anymore. So when you go against people who have sweet deals where they're able to make the money that they are without market forces being exhibited, put on them, then I agree with it that there has to be some, sort of like principles that push against that. When something is not being exploited, let it live the way that it is. It's not being exploited. Everybody loves it. Everybody knows it.
squirrel is catching my attention.
Yeah.
Do you want to address that or no? Or no?
What is it?
The abruptly.
Anonymous? Let's do
No, that's.
What?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. That one.
All right, caller, you're on.
Good morning. Two things I'd like to comment on.
Yeah.
First, the second thing is going to be AI. But the first thing is, I'm really sad today. I was mad yesterday, and I'm sad today. Do either of you remember what yesterday was for the history of Youngstown, Ohio? Any idea?
No, what is it?
Yesterday was the 20th anniversary. Now, I know Youngstown celebrates, or not celebrates, but the news covered when the Realty building collapsed a year later. They did a story on it. But it seems to me that nobody cared enough to get a concert scheduled at this Cavelli Center when yesterday was the 20th anniversary of the very first show there. To me, that broke my heart. I mean, you're only going to get one shot to honor something like that with a show. And, yeah, it just tore me up, period. That we couldn't have honored that building for 20 years.
The first show at the Cavelli Center? Is that what you said?
Correct. It was Three Doors Down, Hinder, and Alter Bridge. The lead singer from Three Doors Down got cancer, so he wasn't available. But I do know Hinder and Alter Bridge were available for that date. And it's a shame that something that good in the city of Youngstown, that great for the downtown area, was forgotten about on the exact anniversary date. That's just sad to me. It's really sad.
All right. Thank you, caller. Appreciate it.
All right.
Were you in the area when Trafficking was fighting for the Convocation Center?
I don't know. When would that have been? Probably was.
Early 90s, probably?
Yeah. I remember going to a concert at the Cavelli Center. Yeah, I didn't leave the area until 2009, I think.
So federal government were helping communities put together infrastructure that would attract things to do, like centers to be able to do trade shows, concerts, whatever, venues that the city themselves couldn't produce. Government filled. Trafficking fought to have that thing done. And at the time, the pushback against it was very confusing. Federal money coming into an area, creating a resource that has, throws so much economic activity for restaurants and people visiting and whatever. It was like a no-brainer, especially if all cities were competing for this federal money. Youngstown gets blessed with it where they get the go-ahead. And it was not an easy thing. But it's like one in a many things that our community somehow finds negativity and pushback on to somehow how it affects them. I don't know. But they push against it and rail against it either through, being butthurt by some kind of political axe to grind in the past, or just rooting against the city that you freaking live in, which I will never understand whatsoever.
Yeah.
But it is a big jewel, one of which without federal, let's just wipe the landscape and that never happened. What is the likelihood of a facility being built like that today, just with private money and depending on the public to show up? Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. It would never be built if it wasn't for how it went down. And so, yeah, we need to celebrate those wins, whether it's the federal building that also was fought for to be brought downtown, these other things that, as a community, if data centers are a big thing and every community is going to get one, and if your community somehow figures out a way to shoot itself in the balls in order to get one of these things, like, it's a sad day. It's a little embarrassing.
Yeah. And how long has the amphitheater been there?
That was 5 years ago?
Okay.
That's fairly recent.
Yeah. That seems like a cool feature too. Yeah, I used to say when I first moved away, but I would come home to visit, I used to call Youngstown Gotham City. It feels like I'm in Gotham City here. Well, there's nothing here. It's just everything's closed, everything's run down, everything's whatever. Several years go by, I get to where I'm moving back here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this. Oh, they cleaned up this, and it looked so good. And it almost, does it feel like then that stopped? like we got, did Youngstown sort of get a lot better and then stifle?
So I take the different administrations that have come through mayoralship and what their goals and principles were. And you have builders and you have, sort of like pickers. And we're in a picker deal where we're trying to, we don't understand business principles. We don't know how economic activity actually works. So we're doing versions of it that does not promote a city. So it's like we have 10 years of when it was McKelvey, Jay Williams. People had a really good understanding of how to attract activity that was pure and real versus the current administration that mails it in. It's really doesn't have a good bead on what makes things work in a real economy. And so like we've survived the current administration for the last however many years it's been here. So there are effects that you've seen that are, sort of rewarding to that principle and think that, oh, they've got it figured out. Let's do autonomous busing and let's clean up the streets and make it beautiful and whatever. But you need two phases of this. You need the real economy of downtown, and then you need the perceived economy by the public, right? So let's just say I put a facade on everything and all these buildings were actually run down, but I went and put a new face on all of the buildings to make it look like they were modern and whatever. And so your opinion of it as the public would be like, wow, everything is brand new. And then me knowing it would look behind it and say, oh no, dude, that's plywood and drywall. Like that's not real, right? It was make you feel good about it. But what's behind the scenes isn't working. Like it's old and it's treading on ideals that somebody else did. Like it's phony what's going on. And so we're coming out of a phony era where I hope an administration understands actual economic development principles. And maybe we will with Derek McDowell. I don't know. If Tito wins, it's just going to be the same. Like mailing it in, these little gestures that, patronize the crowd that has no business understanding whatsoever. And it'll continue just to kind of bob along. There won't be any real growth and whatnot.
Do you think then that's how he gets elected? Is it's a majority of people that don't understand?
So I understand business. I have a business and I will not be voting in the Youngstown election. So he's not going to kind of cater to me because the vote's what's necessary to win. He's going to go to someone who cares about their individual street and their own neighborhood and doesn't give two shits about the downtown. Right? How many downtown voters that are going to represent that somebody needs to go do a better job there? Not many of them, not enough of them to offset the promises to people, that the things that he's saying appeals to the voters who will show up to live in neighborhoods. So that's what it is.
And on the subject of the Tito Brown AI things that the MLO bros have made, those are like scary realistic. And it's sort of another example of like, in the future, are we going to know what's real and what's not? I mean, we all know those are AI and they're not real, but would the average internet user know that that's not
does
real?
It matter? I think regular human beings are bought into the illusion and they have so much confirmation bias. If they see something that they want to believe anyway, that they'll accept it. They're not going to reject it on principle.
Yeah, that's true.
Those captured. We'll use email as an analog. Okay. Let's just say you receive 1,000 emails and 900 of them were scammy, fake, AI generated and whatnot. And a small percentage of them were legitimate. Your pursuit would be is there a way that I could just shit can all of the fake ones? So then because even in the real ones, there's going to be some scams in there.
Yeah.
But the obvious scams are dominating what's coming through your inbox. So you're going to have the ability through the use of AI. There might be AIs that their whole obligation is to just figure out who's real and who's not, and only expose you to things that you determine is real. You get checkboxes that say what you think is real and not, and you get to tell the AI what you want to be presented. So for instance, when we do email filtering, okay, we do probabilities and likelihoods. So like one of the first things that we can tell when an email gets sent, right, what country did it originate from? So do you expect any emails today from Uganda?
No.
So it'd be super easy that any origin of emails from Uganda, no matter what it even says, you're going to take and put in the trash bag. right?
Yeah.
So let's just say Twitter's going to do, or X is going to do this in a couple months. Every person, every posting is going to have the country of origin. So if you're looking through your feed and it says Uganda next to it, you probably eventually will just exclude the Uganda posters on there because they're probably bot generated or somebody from the outside just doing trying to sow discontent, and you're just going to exclude them, and then they'll be silenced immediately. So all of the data that comes along with the stuff you perceive, the more we collect on it, where it came from, what time that it was sent, what the content of the message is, how often that they post. You could take all this stuff into account, and then you'll be able to say, my friend Bob, when he posts something, he's this profile. Anything that doesn't look like this profile, don't even show me. So you're going to take people who are like, oh shit, like I don't want to be known that I'm from Uganda, because half the world then ignores me because now you know where my origin is from. That's the kind of what AI will serve us well, is even if it doesn't eliminate it, it at least gives you enough information to decide, if somebody came across you and they posted something, Trump is a Nazi, and next to it, it said, this person has the handle of Bob Smith. They're from Uganda. They've posted 1,463 posts today. And all of those posts were done within 10 seconds of the previous post. Now you have enough information. Now, do you take Bob Smith's post and do you weigh it differently than knowing nothing about where the post came from?
Yeah.
So that metadata is achievable, and it's fairly important for being able to decide what you want to view and what you want to see.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Speaking of emails, this might be a dumb question, but I'm not tech savvy. If you open an email, like I get a lot of just marketing BS emails. If you purchase anything online, all of a sudden you're getting all kinds of marketing emails from other things. And I try to unsubscribe when I feel like it. Does it work like a phone call? Like if you get a spam phone call and you answer it, they now know that this is a legit number you answered, even if you hang up. Does an email work similar just by opening it with the intent of hitting unsubscribe? Have I screwed myself?
It depends. So there's two parts of this. One, if they're a US based company, they have to follow US based laws, right? So if you're dealing with someone from Uganda and you hit unsubscribe, and on their database they see that it's a legitimate email, there's nothing stopping them from sending you again. So if they're following US law, then they have to appeal to it. So if you're doing like a legitimate company and it's Amazon or it's eBay or whatever, and you tell them unsubscribe, they have to follow the law. It's not worth the risk of sending you a message against the law and getting fined for it. So that's number one. So anytime you don't know who the company is, where they're from, you saying unsubscribe is probably putting you in more peril.
So don't open it at all. Just
and
delete
number
it.
two, prove it, right? If you can't prove that you unsubscribe, like if you've got a company that just pops up under a different name, I'll give you a scam that we've fallen victim to a couple times. So there's a company that, and they'll service franchises. So they have nationwide exposure, right? And they sign a contract with, we'll say McDonald's. They'll say, hey, if any of your cash registers ever go down, we have service techs across the country. If you pay us $1,000 a month, we will service all your cash registers for $1,000 a month. They get a contract with McDonald's. They roll it out to their deal. Now, this company doesn't have any techs whatsoever. When a McDonald's pops up and says, hey, our register is not working, can you dispatch some kind of technician out there? Then what happens is that company goes to the phone book, not the phone book, but the metaphorical phone book, finds a computer company and says, hey, we've got a McDonald's over there. They got cash registers down. We're going to pay $200 and we'll pay you $200 to go out there and figure out their cash register. You want the business? Cool. And most of the people in the IT part they're desperate for new business, so they take it on. So they go with the cash register, they fix the cash register. Then they go back to the company and they submit an invoice to be paid for whatever it is that they did. And they find out that the company that they originally had the agreement with is now a different company with different ownership, and they totally get ghosted out from being paid for the request, right? So that is a scam that McDonald's paid their side. They got their cash register fixed. Who ends up losing? The person who took on the tech job that now doesn't get paid. these companies that operate, they don't have to follow the rules, and they know they can just create another entity that's just going to repeat the process over and over and over again. It's just what they do. And that's with a lot of companies that do spam sending. I can start a company for $35, right? An entity that can get an email address and a domain, send out a bunch of spam. Somebody comes along and says, hey, you broke the rules. I kill that company, I open another company, and they continue doing the same thing. So it's just a whack-a-mole on people who will follow the rules and who are not real interested in following the rules. The second part of that is, can you freaking prove it?
Yeah.
Who are you going to complain to when you clicked on unsubscribe and they sent you another email?
Nobody.
Unenforceable rules and regulations, especially if you're outside the United States.
Do you know much about security system companies?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's like, I don't know, AT&T and First Response. And how do you feel about Vivint?
Never heard of them.
So they've been around for years. We've used them. And it's just one of those where I'm like, I don't know that I could pick up the phone and call someone. They have door-to-door salesmen, but then again, I've seen others that did too. That's sort of your only person to call if you have an issue. And if that person leaves,
well, my rule of thumb,
different.
My rule of thumb is there has to be a door that I can knock on, and the person I'm dealing with is on the other side of that door. And if you're not in my community where I can knock on that door, I'm not doing business with you.
Yeah.
Can I give you a couple of terms for this? Because this has one topic connected to it. So
okay,
these are 2025's most popular terms, and I want to see how many of these you know what even they are. These are not inclusions in the Webster's, but these are 2025's most popular terms. Do you know what 67 is?
67.
Do you know what it is?
It's an obsession with children that, from what I've heard, originated from a meme. Somebody on the internet got it started. Somebody was talking about like the height of a basketball player or something. Then some other meme morphed into like, yeah, they're like 6'7", and somebody else took that and went 6'7", and I don't even know. I don't know. It's one of those things that I'm like, if the kids don't stop saying it soon, they're all grounded. All of you are grounded. 6'7".
Most popular term, 6'7", and it is completely arbitrary, and it becomes sort of like a mockery of intelligent people.
And by the way, they have added it now. I'm pretty sure they're putting it in the dictionary or something. I just saw that somewhere.
Term number 2, agnetic.
Agnetic.
Yes.
Agnetic.
And context-wise, agnetic AI.
Is it in any way, shape, or form similar to or opposite of magnetic?
No.
Okay. Well, then I have no idea.
Agnetic is when AI can start doing decision-making and logic choices without the user's permission or control.
That's scary.
So let me give you an instance where it's probably already happening. So let's just say you have GPS in your car.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's just say that the AI that's in your car sees that at 8 o'clock you go the same direction. So beforehand, before you even put it in there, it makes a jump and makes a suggestion that here's where you usually go at this certain time. You didn't tell it to do that, but it made a suggestion all on its own.
Is this like when I used to get in my car and my phone would be like, do you want directions home? Or do you want directions to this gym or whatever? It knew where I would go.
And it's been pretty benign at this point because it's still letting you pretend like you're in control because you got to then approve it. But when it starts making decisions on your behalf that it wasn't instructed to do, now it's become agnetic before sentience.
It's stalking me.
Yeah.
That's scary.
So that's agnetic.
Oh, God.
Aura farming.
Aura farming. This sounds familiar, actually. Aura farming.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like it's somehow capturing energy from something. to use. Most people think of aura as like a light around a person. So, and if you farm something, you're like taking it. Could it be taking energy from something and using it? I don't know. Am I anywhere close?
You're totally close. When someone it brings an aura, it's not like you. It's not like a more I don't know, a supernatural thing. It's more of you bring the aura of, boisterous behavior or Riz behavior. I use that because I'm
Riz.
cool.
You're hip.
You bring that aura to it of what kind of energy you bring to a situation, and then vibing. And then farming it would be to resonate that out through whatever you're doing on social media or affecting people that are around you. So you're farming your aura to your observers or your audience.
You're giving vibes. Similar.
And this, everyone listening to this should be mocking Gen Z and Gen Alpha for
ruthlessly.
The Gen Z stare.
Gen Z stare. I feel like I've heard this too. The Gen Z stare. I know I've heard that term. It is when a teacher notices a kid has just blanked out because they are so used to just being so captured by content all the time that when forced to sit still and focus on something for a length of time, they eventually glaze over.
Okay.
Close?
This has two forks in it.
Okay.
This has the ignorance and also the intelligence side. So you go to your grandma's house, right? And grandma knows nothing about technology. And so they say something that's completely ridiculous, right? And you have two options where you can respond to something like, I programmed the VCR and your grandma's like, well, I didn't pay for the milkshake accessory. And you're a kid and like, that's so stupid.
That they just like,
it's like, that's so dumb. I can't respond to it and whatever. Right. And then the other side is oblivion where you said something like, hey, we're going to work on quantum mechanics here. And we're going to see if we can do something about bending space and time. The Gen Z person will be like, I'm not going to confront this and be humble that I have no idea what you're talking about. So I'm going to dismissively stare into oblivion until we move on from something that I am inadequate for understanding. So you have the dismissive side, and then you have the delusional side.
I feel like I was kind of close.
You were.
I'm so hip.
Over tourism. This is one of my favorites, and it's probably the most, I don't know, the most generic.
Over tourism.
Over tourism.
Can you use it in a sentence, or I just got to guess what it means?
I used to go to Berlin Lake and sit on the beach, but then everybody found out about Berlin Lake, and now there's just over tourism.
Okay, so I was kind of going to go that route where it was just too many tourists, too many people going to something like you've heard people say, oh, Florida used to be a great place to go, but now everybody's going to Florida and it loses its appeal.
Yes. And people who do nothing else but try to influence other people to do things get then annoyed when other people do the things that they've influenced them to do. Right. So it's helpful, because then people are like, hey, I saw Bob Smith over there and they were really enjoying Berlin Lake. I should go out there too. But then now you're annoyed that beach where I could just lay out whatever is just populated with so many people, that kind of thing. So when you have in business, if you come across a good deal, you tell nobody about it, because as soon as other people start taking advantage of the good deal, it's no longer a good deal. So if you could just shut up, and that's why it's annoying from Gen Zers, is that they did the thing that caused the result and then get annoyed when the result that they caused comes to fruition.
They go out to some secluded, beautiful, scenic area and they're like, look how beautiful this is. Everyone needs to come see this. It's so amazing. It's such a great getaway. And everyone's like, that does look amazing. Let's go. And you're like, whoa, why is everybody here? And you're taking over my secluded place. And
yeah. So fishermen and hunters know this. And so let's just say you got on the lake and you just nail it. Right. You find a place, the walleye are just there. Right.
Yeah.
And you go back to the pier and they're like, hey, how'd you do? And you're like, had an okay day. And you move on. Then you don't have competition. You can go back to your spot again. But if you're like, I was hitting them. Look at these walleye, right?
Where'd you go? Right over there.
And then
let's
not
go.
one thought in your head that if somebody knows that you did really well in a certain area, that you're going to have 19 people the next time you go there. And you're like, this is over tourist. You did that, you jackhole. Shut your face hole. Stop telling and bragging about things that you like, because then the masses are going to do what you did and it's going to be ruined for you. Shut up.
Just be a mentalist on your own.
Yeah. I saw this 10-point back in this field right in this corner right near my deer stand. Oh, why is there 750,000 people at my deer stand? Because you did it? Pisses me off. People are idiots. Freaking idiots.
Do you have more terms?
I do.
Okay.
This one, tariff, but we're not even going to go into that one because
yeah.
I don't know how it can be on the lesser generations, millennials and before. Like, I don't know how that could be interpreted in any other different way. So maybe it has some kind of pop culture reference.
Yeah, is it like used in a slang way?
I don't know. I see it, but whatever. And the last one is trad wife.
Trad wife, we've talked about. Traditional wife.
Yeah.
If someone...
And it is intended to be an insult, I will tell you.
Which is so weird. Weird. Like, it's an insult as in you should not be traditional. You should go outside the norms and do what?
So we have rebellious spirit. All human beings do. We like to push against status quos. The problem is that the 60s and 70s generation pushed against the status quos that really matter. And the next generation is like, man, you used up all the good ideas. So we're going to have to push up status quos that don't make much sense and just be doomed to idiocy for the remainder of our existence. Right. And so how would you express your rebellious nature in a completely convenient, perfect, culture? You have to dig some shit up and break some stuff that makes sense. So pushing up against, wives and gender and things that have been pretty solid for a couple thousand, maybe million years, right? And to pick that one to push up against is kind of crazy and is really going to be short-lived. Really short-lived.
All of it's crazy. It's like they take the thing that makes the least amount of sense and run with it. Like the 6'7", it's popular because it makes no sense.
Right.
Because it's stupid. And but that's not really a new concept. Like, why are the Kardashians famous? They're famous for being famous. Like, we do that. We take something, we say, it's kind of funny if we blow this up and make it huge. So we do. And now it's a big thing when it could have just meant nothing. I don't know if that's a new concept or if it's just getting worse, maybe.
As we become more stupid and we're entangled with things. Okay, so I'll give you an answer. Like, I am a math person. Everybody who listens to this show knows that everything is math, right? Mm-hmm. And so the things that you pick, if you have something that will work in the short term, but has net gain odds of happening. And then you have certain things that give you advantage here, but in the long term, it goes away. It has a mathematical 0% chance of surviving more than a decade. Would you take something on that mathematically has a 0% chance of surviving you and it going back to the status quo? Would you do that one? Or would you take the things that have survivability?
Yeah.
Right. That's how you know if any of these endeavors have merit, whether or not they're lasting. So, for instance, human beings, from a species standpoint, our job is to make more of ourselves. You're going to watch as AI and autonomous things, like they might become sentient, but can they make more of themselves? Self-replicating, self-healing.
I don't think so.
Okay. Can human beings make more of themselves?
Yes.
Can they heal themselves?
Yes.
We got a great advantage over AI, right? Because we can make more of ourselves. So let's just say you had one company that was making all the Android robots that could not make more of themselves. And they had a shelf life of 20 years. If the manufacturer goes out of business, then you will survive the Android robots only when they die and there's nothing to replace them on the other side. They have a survivability rate of 0 unless we make more of them. So look at all of the pop culture, the transgender, the LGBTQ, the infertility, demasculating, removing traditional marriages and whatever. All of those have an end game of reducing the ability. So let's just say you are you hate kids, right? You don't think anybody should have kids. And you're not going to have them and you're going to show the world. Guess what you're going to do?
Just die off.
You're going to die. Well, I can tell you that when you have kids, you can teach them all about how you don't think kids should be had. And then you can further your lineage of kid haters. But the problem is if you hate kids, it has a 0% chance of surviving you and it dies with you. And so all of these, like if the human, so let's just say, let's give in to all of those, social activists that the human race needs to be different. We don't need to have husband and wife, and we don't need to be having kids, right? Guess what happens when all of those uber believers that hate that die? We realize in a generation down the road that having more of ourselves is good, and there will always be more people that think having more people, right, are greater numbers than the ones that are dying off, and then that feeling dies with them. It's mathematically not a good.
And this whole idea, like, it doesn't even mathematically work in the moment either. Like, trad wife. When my kids were born, I had two very young, similar around the same time. At the time, the job I had I did not make enough money to put the kids in daycare. It would have cost me money to try to afford daycare to go to work where I was working. I would have lost money. We would have been in more debt. It wouldn't have worked. So I stayed home. Husband went to work. I stayed home, took care of the kids for about 2 years because that made financial sense at the time. So if someone's like, what a trad wife, you shouldn't be that. What am I going to? Well, I don't want to be that. I guess I'll go and put ourselves in financial peril. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. How is it still a bad thing?
Why would you? Okay, let's take the origin of the the origin of the advocacy. Why would? Okay, so the traditional relationship, husband, wife, kid, right? That would be considered traditional. Where's the nefarious part of that relationship? Well, there's people who believe it, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to share your time or energy or money with another person. You'd have to invest it in a kid that's going to take all your stuff one day and whatever. It's all about you and what you can do and what you're deprived of if you join the ranks of traditional, the trajectory the traditional relationships take.
Yeah.
So you got then float a better one where here's what we're going to do. We're going to not get all that husband thing. We're going to get all the benefits of what a relationship, but we don't want the husband part of it. We don't want to buy a house, so we're going to live in an apartment. We don't have a kid because they cost too much, make noises, and smell very badly. And so, cool. That's what I'm advocating for. You're going to find extreme happiness if you can do what you want, when you want to do it. Money is all yours. Your time is all yours. You say what is. Huh. Right?
Huh.
Make that case about how in one segment, that stuff's all good.
Yeah.
Right. But now you have a person that's in their 40s that now all of a sudden changed their mind. And they're like, I'm never going to have kids and nobody takes me serious. Nobody goes to bed at night wondering or wishing about me. And I'm not a priority in anybody's life whatsoever. There's a sadness that I wasn't part of the, part of my original conclusion of what would happen.
Yeah.
So I got to do a bunch of fun stuff for a little while. But when it came time to reality reared itself, when my biology reared itself, this was a bad exercise, right? So what it would take is that negotiation from the beginning. Here's the pros and cons of doing this. You're going to be happy in this way, and you're going to be sad in this way. Here's the benefits of this. Here's the downsides of it. As long as you're cool with that, paying the cost down the road, because do you feel bad for someone who's like, I'm not having kids, I'm just going to have cats, and they're sad later on when they don't have any kids and they really want some? I didn't care enough about you. You can do whatever you want, but that's your cost and consequence. I have nothing to do with it. And I have better things to watch than some 40-year-old who all of a sudden regrets the mistake they made when everybody was saying, hey, you probably shouldn't traditional things and wisdoms and traditional culture. They figured something out. Maybe they may just give them a little credibility. The 2,000 years of wisdom might have known more than you do, right? Give them 2 seconds of like, well, what if I'm wrong? What if later on I do want these things? Do I really want to set myself up that I put a face tattoo and maybe under my current situation, that's not going to be a detriment, if I get in a different situation where maybe my face tattoo was not a good idea?
Yeah. And again, we've talked about the difference between just doing something and then outwardly making someone else follow it. Like if you're like, look, I am an enormous introvert. I promise you, I will not care that I am not surrounded by anyone. I don't like kids. I don't want to be around kids. I will die alone, and that's how I prefer it.
And I would say, if you listen to me, I would say that's a bad idea. I want you to think this through. If your current circumstances change, how is this going to fit in with the new circumstances?
But there's even a difference between somebody who says that and that's it, and somebody who says that and says, oh, and you're dumb for being trad and you're dumb for doing this and that.
But if somebody does CrossFit, they want to tell everybody about it. Somebody catches all those walleye, they want to tell everybody about it. It's the presentation of that advantage or the perceived advantage. Like, I got this tattoo and everybody pays attention to me. I'm super popular. And then the realist traditional things are like, your circumstances are going to change 1,000 times. And the chances that what your decision that you're doing right now don't ill affect those other situations is a bad idea. So now you're relegated to your current situation. You got to be a perpetual 17-year-old for the rest of your life in order for you to feel good about it in the rest of the 40 years that you're going to spend with that face tattoo. It just, again, long-term thinking, short-term thinking.
And Carter says, wow, Joe is turbocharged today.
I am too. I've had lots of coffee. 4:30 in the morning, 6 cups deep. I am on fire.
He's like, I can hear color.
I can. Do I have any more terms? I think Chad waves.
And there's more. Now, I know those are like the terms of the year, but like, oh my God, my kids are always saying stuff like cap.
Yes.
Chat.
Cap is a lie.
Yes. Chat.
No cap means no lie.
Like, hey, chat. Chat, I think, is like talking to someone or a group, like someone's entered the chat, I think. I was so proud. Oh my gosh, what was it? A couple weekends ago, my family and I, we were sitting out at dinner and I used one of my kids' words in a sentence accurately. And my son was like, oh, good usage. And like high-fived me. And I was like, thanks. I'm cool.
Can I gripe about T-Mobile?
Yeah.
So, and this was a word usage that I was a volcano spitting meteorites out of me. And some dude used one of those. I'll tell you the story. So T-Mobile was like, hey, you're with AT&T. We'd really like to have your business, right? So I sat down with the dude and he told me everything that I should do and whatever. He's like, print this thing out, submit it here. All is golden, right? So I did everything that I was told to do. And I noticed that what I did wasn't working in their system. So I went in and I was like, hey, I did all this stuff. And this is a big hang up. And this dude was like, oh yeah, they should have told you, you had to do it this way. And this wasn't good enough and whatever. And I'm like, no, the only reason I did it is because you told me to, right? And it's not how you said it was go down. So it's your job now to make it go down the way that I was told about. And I raised my voice a little bit when I was telling them that they needed to get on it and make what they promised me happen. And the dude looked at me and said, I don't need you to be extra. I don't need you to be extra. And I was like,
I don't need you to be extra.
Yeah. And I said, pack up my shit. I'm going to go to someone who has a brain at a different location. And even if I have the same argument and I still lose, I am not dealing with you. And I left. That was me being extra. I know it. And I will be extra with exponents, you mother.
Oh, it's so funny. We have issues with T-Mobile too. Maybe I should get extra.
Go get extra. It's annoying.
You don't have to be extra. Oh God. Now you got me thinking like, when do I get extra? I have found that like,
what's that? Okay. So I know what extra means, but I don't know the origin.
Extra. Like you're being extra amped than the situation calls for, sort of.
So listen,
excessive, extravagant.
Listen, dipshit millennials on, and I put you in that group because you're just as annoying as all the rest of the generations.
Rude.
There are already words that mean this. You do not have to add to our more complicated dictionary. You look through the dictionary.
Say that to my kids all the time.
Go look at synonyms and pick words that already are there. We don't need new ones.
I said something. I used one of my kids' words. recently. And my daughter's like, don't. And I'm like, don't? Well, then don't use ours. Don't ever say cool. Don't ever say sweet. Don't ever say any of these other things because they were ours. And she's just like, ugh. I'm like, yeah, we already got that. And now they're using them wrong. Like ate. If you ate. Back in my day, if you ate it, that was a bad thing. You like fell. You biffed. You wiped out. You whatever. You ate pavement. You ate it. Now, like, ate is a good thing. Like, ooh, girl, you ate. Ooh, you're eating. It's like you're doing an amazing job. You're looking great. You were awesome at that. You ate. And I'm just like, now you're not even doing it right.
So I'll tell you, Jewel, we talked about bastardization of language.
Yeah.
And, you know, every dialect, every language kept innovating by creating new words that encompass new feelings. And once you sort of got to where words did a really good job of expressing yourself, you don't need to go any further. And I'm sure my generation invented some words too, but I was exempt from the whole, it was time, because we did it in a cool way.
Yeah.
Everybody else is doing it in a wrong way.
Oh God, the worst was there was a small period of time. I was a younger adult, maybe in my 20s, and a good friend of mine's younger sister. So she had to have been maybe late high school or fresh out of high school. They went through a phase of just shortening words. Perf was perfect. Sus, suspicious. And it was everything. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, I'd rather you have different terminology than do that.
I have a theory on that one.
Yeah.
So when cell phones first came out and you did text messaging, you actually had to hit numbers multiple times in order to get a letter to display.
Yeah.
So you shortened words because there was extra effort. So if it was 9 keystrokes to put the real word and it was 3 keystrokes to do 3 letters that meant the same thing, I understand that, right? That was translation. That's perfect. But if it actually takes you longer to express yourself using the jargon or the slang, then you didn't save yourself efficiency and you just wanted to be unique in the word that you use. And that's annoying for the rest of us.
How do you feel about people that mispronounce words?
I do it all the time.
Well, and I don't even know if it's on purpose or if it's just a lack of education. Like seent.
I do it to be funny and in mockery. I don't do it because it's different.
Cousin. Like people think there's a T in the word
but
cousin.
It's probably just there's stupid people out there and they don't know how words are pronounced. And so it translates. And then somebody who is intelligent sees somebody who's cool that's doing it and adopts the unintelligent word usage. So that's my guess.
I mean, we all do dumb stuff. Like I remember when I was in high school, there was a kid, I don't know how it originated, but he would emphasize even. He would say, I don't even care. Mm-hmm. Like, man, that's not even cool. Or like, I'm not even trying to do this today. And I'm like, stop doing that. I'm going to even punch your face. Like, that didn't work out.
So would you rather someone uses a vernacular, a complete word usage that was invented by their generation so that you, when you're talking to someone, would not know what they're even talking about? Would you rather that? Or would you like word salad people using words that were uncommon but sophisticated so that you wouldn't know what I'm talking about? Or even a third option, just speak in Spanish and then everybody doesn't understand Spanish doesn't know what you're talking about.
I kind of like the second one.
Okay. Using sophisticated words?
Yeah.
Because then you get a Kamala Harris where you get word salads by using words they don't normally use to sound smarter than they actually are. Right?
All right, so I take back. I took that the wrong way when you explained it.
Yeah,
I thought you meant they were using it correctly in an intelligent way, and we
Kamala
were not
Harris
able to
used it correctly. But there's sort of this like agreement between people, right? It's understanding between two people who are talking.
Yeah.
And if I use like I'm in a setting where I'm trying to sell somebody, so I start using jargon in computers like the techno babble. I know you don't understand, so that you're like, I don't know what any of this means. I'm just going to sign this contract because obviously he does, and whatever. Like that is one usage where I'm using correct terminology.
Yeah.
I'm just using it above the head of the person I'm talking about for dominance's sake.
Yeah.
So if Kamala Harris starts trying to sound smarter than the words
Just
she
saying
usually
the
used.
words.
Like she's sitting on her couch and having a conversation with her husband, and her husband's like, you gotta use different words. Like when people hear you how you talk, you're gonna have to talk gooder. All right?
Gooder.
So she goes to the thesaurus and looks up her words and like, I'm going to use that one, but they're not used to using that one. So context gets fluttered and like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it's apparent to people who do use those words correctly, knowing that person was just trying to sound smart.
But it's to her audience. And you know what else she does, which is to her advantage, is she does the head nod when she's telling
I'm not
you.
gonna nod my head because I don't want to be a part of that.
Because someone else will instinctively also nod.
Yeah.
As though they're agreeing.
There's your mentalist deal.
Yep. And she'll say, like if I wanted to Kamala Harris, Joe Danyi, I'd be like, so AI is important with algorithms. You've got to make sure that the economy.
All right, let me change it and go your mentalist route.
That was an amazing comment.
If I want you to agree with me and sign that contract, and I go like this the whole time I'm talking to you, I'm subconsciously
it made me
putting a yes in your head.
Yeah.
If I'm like, you want to sign that contract, do you? Subconsciously, you're getting a no that's being pushed against you, but you got to make it subtle. So it has to be a slow yes, so that it doesn't register in your conscious brain. Right.
Yeah.
But again, a person that doesn't know why people do that, they emulate it and they do it incorrectly. So it's obvious to me that she's like, yeah, global warming's real. Global warming's real. And people need to be given benefits.
This mentalist, this Oz Perlman, he did explain one thing. And it was like, oh, I see where he's coming from. But if done incorrectly, then you probably look like a lunatic. He was talking about the idea that in the animal world, which technically we are a part of, it's very off-putting. It's very uneasy to someone coming at them with both eyes forward. If you come with just one eye, it's less threatening. People are also very concerned about their time. And if you're coming up to them to say something, you're taking up their time. They don't want you to take up their time. Give them a symbol that I'm in and out quickly. So you turn and you lead with one eye and you lead with 1 foot already away that says, I am not a threat and I'm only going to take a second. All of those things make sense. But what's going to happen if I walk up to you and I'm just like, Joe?
If you do it wrong, it's obvious that you're trying to do something.
You look weird. Like, what are you doing?
Subtleness. So if I said, if you cross your arms, you're defensive, right?
Yeah.
If I point my leg in your direction, then I like you and I'm trying to appeal to you. If I shake my head in yes, I'm trying to give a yes to you.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm looking in your eyes and making eye contact versus looking at the tip of your nose. If you appeal to the primitive senses, you can own people and gather information from them. So if I went like this, right, I'm looking for you to cross your arms within the next minute of me crossing my arms. Right. Because now you appeal to me that Joe sees a threat somewhere and I'm also on his team. And I know you're willing to do something with me if you cross your arm within 1 minute. But once I tell you all these tricks and you watch someone hear all these, all these data points and then try to do them all, it's obvious 100%. If I'm like, dude, okay, I just learned if I drop the pen in someone's hands, like, I got a pen, you want a pen? Here's a pen, right?
Yeah, because it's obvious. And it's not foolproof. Like you said, it's one data. Like we've talked about that before, like crossing your arms, it's a defensive posture. I cross my arms because I find it very comfortable.
Right. Primitively,
you're cold.
You're protecting your internal organs from a threat that somebody's going to stab you. And
what if I'm cold?
Doesn't matter. Your primitive brain doesn't know that. It puts basically the defensive posture whenever you give it something like a fear or a bad feeling, you go to defensive
Well, here's
posture.
another thing I've noticed. When we're talking about something and I am really into this, I am really thinking and I'm like, ooh, let me really consider and picture this, I'll do this. And it's my posture. I am in deep thought.
Because when you're in thought, you're not looking for dangers and threats. There could be a lion going. So you're protecting your internal organs while your brain does its thing. Your brain knows when.
So how do you know, if you were Joe the mentalist, when you're telling me something and I do this, am I defensive against you and I don't like what I'm hearing, or am I really into it, taking it in and
all it's telling me is that you're in a mode where you're contemplating, and I can use your contemplation to know whether or not I can extract more data from you.
What if I'm just cold? What if I'm like, oh, it's chilly, I'm listening,
It doesn't matter.
Chilly.
You're still in contemplative.
I guess.
Again, you can't act on it because it's a subtle thing in its entirety. It's coupled with, on the aggregate, so many other people data points that give you a high probability that you're right about something. Do you think you could be manipulated to the fact to pick the Jack of Spades? All I have to do, if I want you to pick the Jack of Spades, because I knew that going into it, I have to do certain things to you, but make it your idea that the Jack of Spades was yours all along, when all I got to do is, and I think, what was it? There was a movie with, that Facebook guy. Now You See Me. Right? Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Okay, that was another mentalist psychological deal. So if I want you to come with the Jack of Spades, and early on I start talking about things that are black, right?
Yeah.
And I can put an image of something that rhymes with spades, and then I'm talking about royalty or whatever, and we get to the point where I want you to pick a card, but I've set up like 5 things to lead you to Jack of Spades. You didn't know I was doing it to you the whole time, but all of a sudden, like Jack of Spades didn't come to you because you came up with it. It was a compilation of everything I gave to you. And when you needed, when we're forced into a moment, Jack of Spades was it because of everything I did to you before.
And he does say that. He says, like, he'll even say, I don't mean this in like a mean, aggressive way, but I am controlling you.
Yes.
I am giving you
that is correct.
Thoughts.
But again, it ruins everything. If I said every magician, everything that they do and say is part of the trick. So if they ask you where you're from, it is part of the trick. And you need to go figure out why they did that. If they move their hand over here, there's a reason, right? Mm-hmm. There's a reason for everything that they say and do in one way or another. So now when I say that, now you're watching things that would have completely escaped you before. And then you see the thing that you shouldn't have seen. And now it's ruined for you forever.
But the talent is how well he can do it and pivot. Like, he was on this one podcast and he was doing it with the podcast host and everything. And he was trying to think of a name that this guy was thinking of. And he's like, I want you to count the letters in their name. Ready? Go. And he did. He goes, okay. And he's like, so I watched your eyes go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there must be 5 letters. And now you're going to do this. And now you just did this, which shows me it's got to be a vowel. And then all that. And the podcaster goes, did you really count my eye movements? Or were you just saying that to throw me off of what you're doing? And he's like, I can't tell you that.
Exactly.
It may or may not have been. But then he's like, it's one data point. It's one data point. Did your eyes move or not?
Yeah.
Did I actually use that? I maybe.
Now is magic fun anymore when all you're doing is looking at the movements?
It's still fun because he's so incredibly good at it. Like, I know a magic trick is not a warlock doing supernatural magic. I know there's logic behind it, but if they're so good at it that it looks seamless, it's still entertaining.
So now audiences, 3 people get it and have appreciation for it, and everybody else is ruined.
Thank
you for ruining magic and mentalism.
I appreciate the talent behind it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Jerry says everyone is a bro or a dude now, no matter the gender. Yeah, brah. Come on, brah. That's the kids. Everything's brah.
I do call everybody brother, by the way.
Brother.
Everybody brother.
Is that a Hulk Hogan thing or just
no,
even females?
I feel no.
Are they sisters or there is no name?
There is no. I don't include women into my.
What a misogynist.
In my sphere. But yeah, brother as in everybody is my brethren.
Yeah.
So I say brother.
Even people you hate.
Yeah.
They're your brother too?
They're my brother too.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Carter says, in Kentucky, people say probably instead of probably, and it drives me crazy.
100% that drives me crazy.
Oh, I love this story.
You're Southern, so you probably got a million of those.
Well, but I wasn't. What's funny is, so I lived in the South for almost 15 years. Before I ever left Ohio, people in Ohio would tell me I have a Southern accent. And I'm like, what? I would go somewhere. They're like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, here. Oh, you got a Southern twang. I was like, that's impossible. I've never left Ohio. And then when I went to the South, people were like, oh, no, you have a Northern accent. And then they told me, I had one girl say, the beginnings of your sentences are one dialect and the end of your sentence is another. So it's like, maybe I made one up. But then again, like somebody says, oh, you're Southern. Somebody says, no, you're Ohio. So I feel like I'm nothing. I'm just like a melting pot that apparently I made up because I took on these characteristics having never been somewhere before. But speaking of that, I love this story because it still cracks me up to this day. my husband has family in Butler, Pennsylvania. And if anyone has ever lived or known people from that area of PA, they have a very distinct dialect. And his cousin, one time, we were talking similar about like the way people say words funny. And he goes, yeah, like I can't say the word cow. And I said, cow? Yeah, cow. And I said, cow, like the animal, a cow? And he goes, no, the name. And I'm like, cow. Are you saying Kyle? And he's like, yeah, cow. And that's honest to God sounded like COW was Kyle. And that stuff is so funny to me. But I don't think I have a Southern accent. I don't think I've ever had a Southern accent. And when the people in the South said, no, you say that and back, like Cleveland, Ohio, I don't do that either. I don't think.
All right, I want to talk affordable or unaffordable Care Act, and we'll see if my call-in guest is ready. So can you read some comments while I'm doing that?
So Jerry says your gardening vernacular protrudes an intense psychological deficiency.
Well stated,
Specs
Jerry.
on the inline for the rotor girder.
Jerry.
And this person says brethren. That's very Christian, but yeah, I use brother a lot as well, or occasionally bro.
I don't use bro, but I will do brother. And
how about, I know people that use friend.
I hate friend.
But they use it especially if you forgot someone's name and you don't want them to know, hey, friend. Do I mean that because we're friendly? Or do I say that because I'm like, hey,
that one. And I don't mind that one. I mean, for as many people, our brains were not designed to hold so many people. 50 people's your max. And so if you know a lot of people, you're going to forget sometimes. And you don't want to be awkward not knowing something. People like Joe, I just say, I don't remember your name. What is it? Right. Yeah. And then they tell me and everything's golden again. But I leave that conversation that person think, man, he didn't remember my name. I must not be that important.
Well, even worse is when you don't even know if you know them or not. And they're acting like they know you. I was once in a situation where I knew someone. They acted like they knew me. I could tell they were mistaken. And it was the weirdest, awkward conversation. How's your sister doing? They asked me. I was like, I don't have a sister. What? Yeah. And I was like, I'm Kelin. We know each other from, I know. I was like, do you though? And it was like, it's so awkward when there's somebody that is just enough of an acquaintance that you would know them, but you're in a situation. It's like, hi, Joe, how are you? And do you panic if you're like, brain,
but
don't know who you are?
We did so much radio that there's so many people who know things about me that anybody can come off the streets and say something that usually would be, resigned to people who had, good relations with me. Yeah. So then I'd say, like, I'm not going to try to remember anybody. And everything is going to be a unique interaction. And what the bad side is, there's some people that probably feel a little bit bad that I can't recall them or know where I met them or whatever. But the good side is that I could sit in the same room with a sworn enemy, right? And have no idea that I'm supposed to be mad at them and still get business done, knowing that had I remembered, I'd have been like, I'm not doing business with this a-hole. And I still get things done because I don't get in my own way. So upside downside.
Well, one good thing about the whole mentalist thing that you think they're just evil Jezebels.
No, the exposers of mentalism are the evil ones.
Oh, this guy was saying it's so great because he uses memory tricks to remember things about people, obviously to help him when he's doing his parlor tricks or whatever. But he says people so love feeling significant because most people do not. Most people feel like they are insignificant. They don't matter. And if you can recall the slightest detail about someone, if they told you their favorite color one time and 2 years go by and you run into them again and you bring that up or you remember their name or you whatever, you can make someone feel so good by that smallest thing. And he's like, he tries to use that whenever he can just to make people feel good. Like, I can't believe you remembered that. And he's like, worth it. Like, he will set things up on his phone. He will make notes just so that he can help someone feel good that day when he remembers something later. And I think that's noble.
It's a double-edged sword, though. Double-edged sword. Okay, so if you go into a restaurant and your waitress serves you and you look at the name tag and address your waitress by their name the entire time, you have a 90% chance of getting better service than if you never mentioned their name, right? Sounds pretty noble. They felt good, so they felt personally connected to you, so they served you like they would a friend rather than a whatever coming in there. You manipulated, 100% manipulated by drawing on a primitive instinct to be able to treat people that are better than you. So the double edge is the other side of that. You can manipulate on the other side of that, where you can make people feel owned or worse or whatever using the exact same strategy. If you can use a primitive instinct to immediately put you on the defense, and I need you to be on the defense, do you want to be so beholden that something like that does affect you? Or would you want to deaden your ability to...
You have to use your powers for good.
But you can't expect that. You would almost have to have a non-secular, religious-based culture that kept everybody in noble circumstances in order for those manipulations to always be noble. If we live in this secular thing where everybody's just feeding their ego, then you could crush and manipulate people on the other side of that by using the same strategy. So you still want to use that strategy knowing that it would be effective on you on the positive, but also be effective on you on the negative.
Yeah, and I mean, everything, the way you use it matters.
Yeah.
Like, if you came up to me and you said, "Good morning, Kelin," total different feeling than if you were like, "I don't know, Kelin." You're still using my name. Totally different scenarios.
But if I did
totally
it
different ways of
intelligently,
saying
where
it.
I was trying to construct an outcome, and I knew that I can manipulate you by either saying something good or saying something bad, do you want to be puppeted like that?
I would say, don't say my name like that.
But because you have an ego, you will love the benefit of the positive side. So then you would condition yourself to appeal to the primitive side versus deadening the primitive side and not letting it ill affect you on either side. You take both of those strategies away.
Julie says, "How about, hi, Joe, I'm Julie. Joe, I know. Mentalist?"
Well, that was one of those examples where when you said like you run into someone and something about them, you recognize, but you don't know their name or how you know them. So is one data point where I couldn't have told you that was Julie, but I knew it was Julie.
Yeah. And for context, for anyone who didn't see our show, a week ago or so, maybe, we've never met Julie in person until recently. Julie walked up to Joe. Joe had never seen her, never seen a picture of her, and never met her in person. And instantly knew
I knew that was
Julie. Before she even said anything.
Julie would have said, "You know me, what's my name?" I would have stumbled to come up with the name Julie. I would have.
Isn't it weird how sometimes like we can think of something in a moment all the time, but the moment someone's like I could know an actor's name at any given moment. But the moment you say, "Oh, who's that actor in that movie?" I'm like,
exactly. That is it.
I know their name.
Absolutely.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that when that happens in real life too. Like somebody I know, let's say you come up to me and I'm with my husband and I'm like, "Hey, this is," and it's like, I know your name. I know what it is. Where did it go?
Yep.
That's so weird. Oh, are you stalking Julie?
Maybe a little.
That's how he does it. That's how he does it. He knows where you are all the time, Julie. He knows where Carter is all the time. He knows where Matthew is all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. He's
Good
just
like
a
that.
creepy little mentalist that stalks people and gathers their information.
Might be my trick, but don't tell everybody about it because then I'll ruin the trick.
When is your person supposed to call?
I don't know. I told him the number and when to call, and he didn't respond to that. So let's just talk about the Unaffordable Care Act right now. So the whole crux of this whole EBT, SNAP benefits, no budget, continuing resolution is hinging on the Unaffordable Care Act. And the reason is that people's health care are going to double and have already started to double because the subsidies that pays the other half of what you were experienced with health insurance, it disappeared. So the real cost that the insurance companies have been selling to the government/private side of things are now just being completely covered by the private side. The government side of that went away. And then we're looking at like costs go up. They didn't really go up, right? So if you had a lobster dinner that cost $100 and your dad paid for 50 and you paid 50, you'd feel like if you ever went there without your dad, that lobster went up to $100. But in reality, the dad's portion just went away.
Paying a bigger
portion. It cost $100 all along, right?
Yeah.
And so, again, we're watching the drama of the continuing resolution. It almost would have been to the point where they would have been voting on a budget by now if the Democrats wouldn't have been so stubborn about this. I know why they were. They didn't want to see healthcare costs go up and the Obamacare Act being foreseen exactly how it is. But it takes people like us to show you that we have allowed healthcare costs to not get better because of the Affordable Care Act. We masked the cost by using government subsidies, and now it is worse than it was before we started.
Which was always meant to be temporary, wasn't it?
Well, that's why it expired, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not even like this is like all of a sudden something's going to go up. It's not going up. It's not all of a sudden. There was always this game plan.
Yeah, it was the decision whether or not you wanted to keep paying the subsidies in spite of all of the costs continually going up. Because even when the government was fronting a majority or at least half of the burden, the costs were still going up. Why? What makes costs go up when government gets involved in something? What makes costs go down?
Costs can go up if someone's benefiting from something. When government gets involved, costs go up because they're going to pay for it with your money. Like, they're going to get involved and work it in a way that is going to cost you more, because if they're changing it, like, you are footing the bill. I don't know.
It's a complicated conversation, and that's why they needed a couple extra months to talk this through. So when you take the cost of an insurance company, so basically what they do is they find out what the usership of services are and what those costs are. Everything from labor, pharmaceuticals, processing, administration, all of that. Take a balance sheet of saying where my costs are. And then they have a margin on top of that. So if an insurance company basically takes their costs and says this is a 50% margin. So if it costs $100, we're going to take $50 and puts that as our profit. And now it's $150 at the end of the day, right? All that data is known. So if you're trying to regulate or force an industry to be able to become, cheaper for the end consumer, there are certain things you can do that are strategies, but not one of them solves the whole problem. Okay. And that's why the question of what's making it so costly. So if you had a Rolex watch versus a Citizen watch. Okay.
Yeah, no,
one
watch
costs
brands.
$200, one costs $20,000. So if we're like, okay, I have something that costs less as a model, and I have something that costs more. Why does this one cost more? And then you start saying, okay, well, I have the materials, right? Well, this one has a lot of plastic parts and aluminum parts and steel parts, and this one has a lot of titanium and gold and silver. So I have costs in it that are just from a one-for-one, book values. This one is more valuable, and then how much? So let's just say 10% of the increased costs are due to materials. And maybe when I'm building a Citizen watch, I'm hiring someone that's a level 2 watchmaker. And when I'm hiring a Rolex manufacturer, I'm hiring a level 5. One makes $50,000 a year, one makes $100,000 a year. So there's different labor costs that are involved. So now I have my materials costs, I have my labor costs. Now I have to have marketing costs.
I was just going to say marketing.
Now I have to present it to the community so people are customers of mine. Now, the third thing is competition. If there are too many buyers that are taking the cheaper option and you want to cut into that, then you have to lower your price to expose yourself to more people that might not have 20 but might have 10, and might not have 10 but might have 5. And you keep lowering your prices to bring in the customers that are not your customers because of that stuff. And maybe you have to use different watchmakers. Maybe you go to a level 4. Maybe you have to use different materials. Instead of titanium, maybe you come down and use some aluminum. And then you can change your end product to be in line with where the money is being spent. So those are market principles that then allow there to be a Rolex and there still have enough buyers to buy their Rolexes, and we're not pushing them to make cheaper things because we don't have to buy Rolexes. It's something that is a luxury item, right?
Yeah.
But healthcare became not a luxury item just for the people that are the most have the most net value. We want to keep those people alive, so they keep putting in. We want to keep everybody alive. Okay, so fine. We've commoditized healthcare, and we still started selling insurance to cover something that was 100% going to happen. It is not insurance if it is 100% likely that something's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So insurance in the marketplace to me would be that you go out and get a policy for things that are super unlikely to happen. So you get hit by a lightning strike, very unlikely to happen. So you're willing to pay $2 a month in case it happens. You put that out, it goes poof. And you can do certain things that make it less likely you get hit by lightning. So the insurance company doesn't want it to happen, so they put stipulations that keep you out of risk. Like, hey, if you do this, if you go out on a golf course with an umbrella wearing armor plating, this voids it because you're trying to get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
But if you do this, it's going to save you money, and then you can do the same thing. I don't want to get struck by lightning, so I'm going to do X, Y, Z that even make. So you got the insurance company that doesn't want it to happen. You don't want it to happen, but you're willing to pay X amount of dollars to make sure that if it happens, you're still okay. That's catastrophic, right?
Yeah.
That's actual insurance. But if it's like everybody goes to the doctor at least twice a year, so I'm going to sell you insurance. What are you trying? What say does the insurance company willing to pay for 2 doctor's visits for you for a year if there's 100% chance that you're going to go to the doctors? Are they going to do things that make it less likely that you're going to go to the doctors and you're going to try hard not to go to the doctors? No, it's not insurance at that point.
Yeah.
All you're doing is you're taking a service that should have market forces applied to it. You're taking the market forces out, and then you're like, why is that cost going up? Because someone else is paying the bill. There's no competition of services, and we're mandating it so that everybody has to freaking do it. It's almost like college tuition. Why does college tuition go up every single year? Why? Because somebody else is paying for it. There's not a student that's writing that check every year. It's loans or grants or whatever. The only way you get away with runaway costs is you make it somebody else's responsibility to actually pay for it. And the competition of end product, universities have been immune where it's more about, it's the Rolex model, right? When you take a 1-for-1, if you take Ohio State and Youngstown State, and you really took it down to where you get the most education out of those two things. Should Ohio State cost 5 times as much as Youngstown State? Are you getting 5 times the value in going to that school over this school? No, it's about branding and marketing. Ohio State branded itself that is a luxury brand, and people that go there, hopefully the luxury brand pays dividends. Where I walk in your office and I've got a Rolex, you then extend to me the fact that I'm probably pretty successful and I've overcome a barrier of the guy that comes in with a Timex saying, hey, he wants to sell me stock tips and he's got a Timex on. Maybe I don't get over that barrier. In fact, it works against you. So it's more marketing than it is value of product at the end of the day. But back to the Unaffordable Care Act. Let's see. Hold on.
Julie says they are not voting on ACR. It is a reconciliation resolution, meaning there were budget changes in healthcare, Medicaid, and funding ICE. Continuing
Is that
resolution.
true? Is it really? Because when I looked at it, the first time around, it was a version of it that was identical to continuing what was in the original budget that was voted on.
Yeah, I've heard both. I've heard one side say, that's not true. This is what it is. And the other side says, that's not true. This is what it is.
Anyway, I'm going to have to look it up because it didn't come up under
Are
quick Grok
Are
search.
they voting on
But
a CR?
if you're considering the healthcare changes that were due to come off automatically versus this specifically expiring those budget items different than just continuing the resolution, I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
I'm doubting that as a first off. If you can send me to an article that says it's not really a continuing resolution, then I'm open to it.
He says, spot on the insurance model breakdown. It's very broken, but let's also acknowledge the elephant in the room. The shutdown is about appeasing the increasingly rabid voted base.
That is absolutely correct. When the ACA first came out, I looked into it just out of curiosity. It was not affordable at all because the deductibles and out-of-pocket costs were extremely high. And this was sort of like a stepping stone. Like you couldn't do socialized medicine, but you could break the current system so that socialized medicine was the best option. It wasn't a very good option when you compared it to doctors just providing outside of the scope of Medicaid, Medicare, and insurance. If you can go to the doctor's office, pay your X amount of dollars, and feel like you got best value, that's the market forces to get healthcare costs in line. But if you go to the doctor and you hit the panel of tests that they and you never question why they did all the things they did to get the most allowable billables out of that interaction, and if you were in that chair, would you have written the check for $1,700 to do things that didn't matter as part of a test panel only because it was billable? You'd be pissed about it because all they did was they salesed you. You walked in, you had a question, they spent the half hour, and rather than just giving you the half hour of their time and whatever the market value is, they added all of these other add-ons in so they can bill an insurance company for it, and they are the reason healthcare costs are
personally now, I feel so conflicted and annoyed when I go see a doctor or a specialist in any way, because I just sit there and I'm like, how much of this is actually necessary? And part of me is like, if it's necessary, by all means, give it to me. But I want to trust that it is. And now I don't know if I do.
Yeah, your interactions, if you've got a good health plan that you pay $100 or $50 when you roll in your brain, going to the doctor costs $100. You don't care what the insurance company had to pay for it. And if it gets extracted from your employer or extracted directly from you in small segments, you'll tolerate it just like a car payment would be. But now we're talking, it's gotten crazy where some people are paying $4,000 a month with a $20,000 deductible.
Jeez.
When you take that amount of money that either you paid or was paid on your behalf and figure out at the end of the year, how many times do you think I went to the doctor in the last year?
One.
Zero doctor visits in 2000 from this time in 2024 to now.
Knock on wood.
And my insurance premium got paid in, and my wife has amazing insurance. So I know we paid every bit of $35,000 paid from her employer for me to go to the doctor 0 time, my son going to the doctor 0 time, her going to the doctor maybe once or twice because of the gender that she carries.
Yeah.
And no way should that have cost us $30,000 plus in a million years.
Like, again, I've had to go this year a handful of times, also because of the gender I carry. And every time it's like, I could have gone once, but that led into having to come back, which led into having to come back. And I sit there and I go, I swear to God, if you all are just jerking my chain and running up my bill because I have decent insurance, I'm going to be so mad.
But they have to do that.
Is this necessary?
But they have to do. So you got to follow the money. Who's making money in the insurance scam? Because you want to blame the insurance companies for the profits that they bring in. You want to, you want to blame the doctors for working you over once you go in there to sell you every test and every pharmaceutical because of the benefit. But there's got to be an origin that makes all of those people do those different things.
Yeah. I even had to do one. I had to do a test. And because of the results of that test being inconclusive, I had to go do another test. And that has now happened twice.
Yes.
And I say, can't I just go to this second one then? Can we just skip the first one altogether? Sounds like we can. That's what I'm going to do. Like next time they say, hey, we have to do this test again. No, I want to skip that one and let's just go here because every year
let's do the
happens.
King Scepter. And let's solve, like, if I were to have a month-long conversation with legislators to tell them how to fix the system, I'm going to have to break about 10 different things and destroy about 10 different livelihoods in order to fix it. So either we pick consumers getting fleeced so that other people can be protected, or those being protected gets fleeced so the consumers can be protected. And it's going to be one of those choices. And I don't think many people are willing to decouple those integrations for the sake, like insurance companies. So when insurance companies make profit, all right, where does profit go when it comes to a publicly traded company?
Probably to the person running it.
No.
Oh, I don't know.
No. Either the expansion of the enterprise where they buy more things, more providers, more facilities, they invest it in the company and grow the company. And then you have investors that either
publicly traded,
but benefit from the increased exposure to that company, or a dividend from the money that's being made goes back down to the investors. So who are the investors? So if you take any of the big insurance companies that are making this profit, who are their shareholders?
Is it people in the government?
Okay, so you have 401ks that are investing in insurance companies. You have institutional investors. You basically have stakeholders that are counting on that being an investment that continues to grow and create more profits.
Yeah.
So let's just say you pulled the rug out and you said, insurance company, you're now a nonprofit and you cannot grow, you cannot distribute, and whatever. So as that money does not trickle down, so like when you're saying that, yeah, screw the insurance company and the profit they made, and you look at your 401k and you're like, hey, like this thing didn't make any money. Like my retirement and my pension and all of these investments are at zero. Why isn't it growing anymore?
You're like, oh, I invested in it and then I fought against it.
Okay, so should insurance companies should we share the profits of insurance company with individual investors where they can participate in that? Or should we make it just a public institution where they're nonprofit and can't make any money on it? Okay, so the quick answer would be, well, the incentive for profit grows companies, right? And gives them more ability to do things. When you limit that, then they don't grow, right? They don't have a reason to make more of it, because if they grow, that's inconvenient as can be. We don't make any more money doing it anyway. So how do you get new people into an industry and not just be the 5 that were there before you change the regulation? You're not going to, inspire anybody to come into the insurance market if there's no money to be made. So you have problem A number 1 is, do we let the insurance company leave or lose? Or is it the investors lose, or the doctors lose, or the third parties that make money because of the complicated nature of the system? You pick your demon. Which one do you want? You want to pay the consequences for?
I don't know.
So I don't think it should cost somebody $35,000 for health insurance.
Right.
Yeah. So you got to fix something.
Someone's got to feel.
But also, I don't want to break it worse than it already was, and I don't want socialized medicine to be the end result. Because I know 50% of the people want it to be broken in a certain way. And that was their conclusion from the onset. And they concocted this whole dumpster fire so that would be the end result. So I want to defy them. I do want to fix it mathematically. I don't want to ruin anybody's industry. I don't want to deprive people from, the speculation and the innovation in that. So who do I hit first? Who would be, what's your low hanging fruit? Who would be easiest?
The people.
So the first one would be competition. That would be number 1. And I believe in all of the doctors who said, I'm just going to practice medicine and I'm going to do it privately, right? I'm just going to, people sign a check. I'm outside of the insurance company. So now a lot of people are like, I don't want to pay $4,000 a month for my insurance. I'm going to go to Dr. Bill, and Dr. Bill is going to sell me. I would go to Dr. Bill tomorrow, completely pull myself out of the system. Now the system says, oh shit, we needed Joe's $35,000. He didn't use it. He was only using $10,000 of it. We needed his extra 30 to give to this person over there that was using the system a lot, right? And didn't pay anything into it. Now that Joe's not here, I got to reformulate. So I got to break the math first so that insurance companies figure out how to provide services. And then they might be like, okay, doctor's visits, we can't do that anymore because this lady over here, she goes to the doctor every freaking week. She has total problems and she's using up all the system. We cannot, Joe's money's not there anymore. So now I'm going to sell you health insurance and I'm going to reduce the cost, but you can't use clinics or you can't use your insurance on clinics.
You've got to do something.
We've eroded maybe 20% of people who, I'm going to call it abuse the system, but use the services that are entitled to. Now it's not even part of your deal, right?
Yeah.
And now people start warming up to the fact that when they go to the grocery store and they pay $2, they get a loaf of bread, and they make that mental connection that if I want bread, I got to pay for it, right? And I don't get extra bread and I don't get too few bread. I'm willing to get a 1-for-1 parity between what I'm paying for and what I'm receiving. So I would do competition first. I would allow people to bail on a system that is so broken, right? And whoever's left in that, then you can start parsing out and figuring math on people who really do need services. And instead of it being a charitable thing where, do you think I'm happy if somebody sent me a postcard and said, Joe, we see you're not using your health insurance. Would you like to donate your other $20,000 to somebody else? Do you think I would say, yeah, go help somebody else out? Or no, give me that money back. Or third option, right?
Yeah. We are out of time.
Are we really?
Yeah. BJ said, did you cut us?
Oh, son of a bitch. Sorry, BJ. All right, we got to get out of here. It makes no sense now that we've broken up through that obstacle. I've ruined everything. So have a good one, everyone.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook.